Hello, Alexis. How you doing?
Hello. How are you, Stefano? I'm good.
I'm doing good. Yeah, we're really doing on a rush today, so let's
We're
make it.
actually going to do it in 15 minutes because I have to go
We
somewhere
should.
in
We
15
should.
minutes. Yeah. So the topic that I thought we could talk about today was what I saw someone calling AFK workflows, meaning away from keyboard workflows. Um, and I think that means this idea that you go to bed and your agents are busy hard at work and you have like not just like two or three agents that you like go back and forth on,
Yeah,
but they're like sitting
it's
away,
the
churning away
Ralph
at
loop
things
on
for hours.
steroid thing, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I think the one of the first uh, methods that I heard people describe for doing this was a Ralph loop. I confess I have not sunk so far that I've gone and looked at exactly what a Ralph loop is because it sounded so stupid. I couldn't bring myself to do it. But I think it's basically you just like set up an automatic prompt that says like keep going, do
Yes,
better, keep going, do better.
exactly. It's just
Yeah.
kind of like a for loop. I hope you put a for loop instead of while, so you have a limited number of iteration, and you just
Yes.
say try until you make it.
So I'm trying to find a tweet that I saw recently, and it's not the only. I'll see if I can pull it up. It's not the only one that expressed this sentiment. It's not very fun watching me trying to find a tweet in the other window, but I can summarize the gist of it because I can't find it. And the gist of this tweet was, "Hey man, on Twitter you see all these people talking about getting their agents doing things on their own. It's nonsense. It's BS. No one is actually doing this. People who are getting things usefully done are sure they're relying on agents, but they're in the loop, like correcting, steering, directing the agent. And all these people say I have like 10 agents and they're just spontaneously doing stuff are making it
Yeah,
up.
I got the same feeling on myself, but maybe some
Well,
little
that's what the
thing.
tweet said. So, but this is my question. What do you think? Have you ever gotten anything to work? Do you think it's
I
real?
play
Do you
around with
do
the
you, do you
Ralph
think
loop
it's
idea.
hype?
I play around with the Ralph loop idea for the sake of trying to do the Ralph loop. But when it comes to what I'm doing, I'm still like steering this thing too much, I think.
Why do you say too much?
Uh, because I still have my taste on what the AI writes, and I still have my idea in mind, how I wanted to break the things up and how I want to combine things back.
Right.
And this is absolutely useless if you're doing something small, but it's
hmm
absolutely useful if you're making something big. Because, yeah, this is still context window thing. The more you grow your little experiment to something that's slightly bigger, you need like a
hmm
back end, front end, a sub library to do the component, the thing.
Okay.
It still matters how you break the best way, one of the most important way you manage your context is breaking your problem into small, as much
Okay.
independent as possible pieces.
So what
And
you're
so
saying, let me make sure I understand what you're saying. You're saying if you're doing something big with lots of different parts, then you feel like you need to be in the loop, kind of steering it and directing it and managing the context to have separate context windows handle different components. Is that basically what you're
I
saying?
I feel that I'm still in control of that. And when I not do this, and end up usually like having the same logic in two or three different parts. Say, oh,
Okay,
please
so you're
refactor this
saying
and make the
you feel like
dependency. Yes.
if you're not personally involved in it, then it doesn't work and you produce something that's not efficient or not redundant or it's
Just
too redundant.
maybe I didn't pre-prompt agent skill at my environment as much, but
hmm
the point is that like if you always jump to a different job all the time, yeah, it's yeah, maybe after a while the system will evolve, mimic this thing. But yeah, it's still something that I see the model doesn't do by itself. If I
Okay.
tell the model to do it, it's gonna do it. But yeah, I want to see your
Okay,
cut on
good. So
this.
let
And you
me
made
let me let me
experiments, and
let
so
let
oh,
me
by the way,
offer
you're
one.
not sharing.
Okay, I'll share in a second. Let me offer one provocation to you though, and then I'll tell you my
Love
experience
it.
with these things. So my provocation is, what about Senpei? What about Karpathy? Hallowed be his name, right? And auto
Uh,
research. Isn't auto research
I
basically I walk away and then it like
I
automatically
jump on
researches?
you on auto research. I think the very day this exact day the party puts the things up, I make some experiments on that, and I even have my personal thought about this kind of thing. I was kind of worried about like the idea of auto research that Karpatic puts down because you have actually it's actually like a way to have like a brute force made by an LLM.
Isn't auto research just like a Ralph loop
It's a Ralph loop. It's
with
a
a
Ralph.
nice name?
It's a at the end of the day, it's a Ralph loop with some metric and some specific goal. And
Hmm.
the way you design a Ralph, the outer research is that okay, code, you can only change this class. Let me really make it as simple as possible. You can only change the training model loop, only the kind of like I do the training. You cannot hack the reward. You cannot hack like the evaluation, all the other thing. And you have the system looping, only changing that thing. It's maybe this is the biggest difference between the Ralph loop and the outer research. But wait,
Okay, so
Alexis, this is an important thing.
mhm.
I have this thought when I was thinking, oh, this is very dumb doing outer research. But I think, oh, when we actually train an old school classifier, didn't we just mini batch randomly searching for something in the number space
Yeah, it's the
in
same
a more
picture, right? Like
continuous and a more
a
gradient
training
driven
loop,
way?
a training loop, a Ralph loop, an auto research loop. They're all
Yeah.
just like loops to climb some
I feel
hill.
myself weird because I was thinking that the randomness and the brute force approach in the Ralph Loopish thing, auto research
Hmm.
stuff, was different. That the brute force at the end of the day, it is brute force. When we train a network, we're brute forcing guided by the gradient, but actually randomly, it's SGD. Okay,
Yeah. No,
it's
I
random.
agree. I think all these points are right. You know that all of this can be understood as like brute force using a loop to try to find something that works better. The practical question that interests me is, are people talking nonsense when they say that they have AIs running for a long time doing something useful? Um, I think if it's just hill climbing on a numerical metric, I can believe it. If it's making a complicated multi-part piece of software like a web browser, as they did in Cursor, then it seems like it's a harder problem to actually get it to build the thing autonomously. And I haven't studied that project enough to know how they did it, but I do feel like more than 50% of the people talking about it on Twitter are making something up. However, that still leaves like
It
less
depends
than
to
50%
very
who are
much
probably
on the
doing it.
problem,
Shall I
Alexis.
tell you about, let me tell you about my
Yeah,
experience
I want to see
away
your
from the
screen.
keyboard. All right. All right. So let me share my screen if we can figure out how that technology works. Share screen. All right. Here we go. Um, so here's my modest experience with overnight workflows. Um, so if you look at the timestamp here, can you see my
Yeah.
screen? Hopefully there's nothing too embarrassing on it. If you see my screen in the top right, you can see
Yep.
there's a
The date.
prompt starting at 12:49 a.m. Please read and follow, and then there's a link to a prompt file.
Okay.
And then if you step back, agent keeps going. Tool calls, reasoning.
At a high level, what was the prompt about? What do you ask the agent to do?
More reasoning. Continue. Oh, look, here comes my kind of Ralph-ish prompt. Um, I guess this is something to make sure it's alive. And then this is an automatic prompt to continue the investigation. And basically it runs like this, through the morning for about 8 hours. And so this is not made up. This is a real thing. Let me tell you like what it was, and then maybe we can figure out if it's actually useful
Yep.
at all. So for my work on the Sparky robot, I need to get echo cancellation working.
Yeah.
I need to work as well as possible. Uh, One of the tricky things about echo cancellation is that you're using algorithms to compensate for physical effects in the world, compensate for actual sound waves echoing, around in a room between a microphone, a speaker. So in order to test if it works, you actually need to play sound. You can't just test if it works by running something, on
Yeah.
your computer. Um, and there's like a goddamn million little knobs you can like tune and adjust and things you can fiddle with in the way echo cancellation implementation works to try to like make it work better. Some of it's stuff you're supposed to adjust, like, oh, what's the like expected stream delay between the reference stream and the input stream. Some of it's stuff that like you should know how to do, like what's the right linker setting for like this component.
Yep.
But as a matter of fact, it's hard to know. So you have to trial and error it. Um, so in order to test echo cancellation, get it working well, uh, what I did was I set up a prompt that causes the system to my robot to talk to itself and then listen to itself and measure the echo cancellation success, which is measured in decibels, and then just keep doing that overnight.
So,
Um,
the metric was like reducing the decibel of the echo.
yeah, because basically what would happen is the
Yeah.
robot reads something out loud, using the synthesized
Yeah.
voice,
So
and
it speaks, and you have like a microphone that like record it speaks what it
yeah,
speaks.
yeah.
And
So the
okay.
robot speaks, and then a microphone is
Yep.
listening, and then the echo cancellation system tries to cancel out what was spoken, and then so I look at the audio to see how
This is
canceled
super
it
easy to
was.
put it down. It's super easy to put it down like a classic like MSC error, like between the two
Yeah,
spectrogram.
just so.
Yeah,
So
it
it's
is.
easy it's easy enough to measure the error, but the action space, if we want to use that phrase, for all the knobs that you could tweak in order to try to make it work better or worse is not super easy. It's not like there's like three variables. There's how the
Of course.
software is built. How the software is built. So like you asked what the prompt was that, got this going. Like here's the prompt. Um, so I'm kind of using uh, like one Linux system as a benchmark for
Okay.
the decibel level to aim for. Um,
You're
there's
much more into the auto research domain with what you do more than like the Ralph loop. You
yeah,
clearly have a very dedicated, specific like goal you want to achieve, a metric you want to optimize, and yeah,
yeah,
you didn't ask the model to change the metric and to make improvements, of course. So
yeah. I don't remember if I did this before or after Carpathy published the auto
yeah,
research
of
thing.
course.
But yeah, I think this is more in the neighborhood of auto research because there's a well-defined numerical metric.
Yes.
Um, and answer, like, did it work? Yeah, sort of. Worked okay. Wasn't great. A lot of time spent going down blind alleys, but I got to better results for echo cancellation. And I kind of had to do it overnight because it took a long time and it's just like very annoying. And if I did it in the day, it would just irritate the hell out of my family to have the robot like constantly talking. So
Oh
this
yeah, of
way,
course.
so this way the robot runs overnight downstairs, talking to itself, like listening to itself, measuring its echo cancellation quality. And then I come in the morning and I see like either it got better or it didn't.
Yeah, I
Um,
got a question by the way.
yeah.
Do you have an idea how many token you burn with this experiment?
I don't know, it was like $50. I don't
Just a
know. So
feeling, just a feeling. No,
yeah,
I
about
thought you
50. I think it was about $50. So,
okay.
not nothing, but
Yeah.
not the end of the
It's
world.
a thing. It's a thing. It really reminds me by the feeling I got like in 2017, 2018 about oh, I'm gonna rent this GPU in this machine over there. It cost me like, I don't know, $4 an hour because I have multiple GPU stuff and things. Let's make this experiment. And it never worked. And so yeah, I like it's just like that kind of feeling. But
So another thing I wanted to point out is good night, have fun. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm
yeah.
eager to try it. That's why I mentioned it. So this
Oh yeah,
is
you share this, but I still haven't looked.
yeah, so this is, a set of scripts that are meant to help you with the idea of like give your agent something to do overnight and then it does something useful. And the guy who produced this project has produced other things that to me have they have the smell of reality, not of hype. So I may give this a try at some point and see if it works for me.
Okay.
But my suspicion is all this auto looping stuff, yeah, it's going to work if you have a nice numerical target for whether something is good. But to get it to actually produce a more complicated multi-component um, artifact where it's not easy to define ahead of time a numerical measure of its quality. Uh, if you have examples of that working, I would love to see it. But I haven't
There
seen it
isn't
personally
another
myself, so
thing,
I'm a bit skeptical.
another like kind of constraint that Carparty put it down in his auto research was that the single individual experiment should have a bucket time, like a short amount of time to be executed. Because if it's too long, you don't have this ability to iterate on a.
Yeah, no, I mean, but that's a
It's
detail.
not
That's a
research
detail.
stuff, but
That's
it's
a
like
detail.
guided by the system.
That's a detail. If you're aiming for a numerically measurable thing, I think this is
Yeah.
a not fundamentally hard problem. And yes, it's something agents can do well. But if
Eh,
you're aiming for more problems that have more open-ended metrics of success and where the action space for producing them uh, is more varied, and you're trying to create a component where you're also trying to optimize for architectural qualities, and you don't have some clever way to create a numerical measure of architectural qualities, then does this approach work? I wouldn't say it's impossible, but I just haven't seen it personally, and I see a lot of hype that strikes me as not particularly credible. So that's what I think of these
I
methods.
want to keep.
We are now at 18
We're
minutes, and
we're at
I'm
15
going to be
minutes.
late.
I want to
No, we're
just close in
18
like
minutes and
this thought.
20 seconds.
Yeah, again, let me just this very last
Sure.
thought. Uh, on 100% of the time that I'm using the coding agent in this very moment, I'm using it maybe in medium, big size project, medium. 60 to 70%, I am working to define specification. 60 to 70%, I am talking with the system. Can I do this? Please review that kind of thing. If I do this, what's going to happen there? I try to let the system touch the code at the very end, and I'm experimenting less in changing the code and more in understanding myself. What is the thing that need to be done? I'm
Yeah,
really,
me too.
really
Me too.
overthinking. I'm really overthinking in this moment in my
Me,
approach.
me too. Like this is how I work with these things. I spend a lot of time thinking through and talking through what it should be, what the constraints are, looking at different alternatives, evaluating them. And code is
Yeah.
kind of a I wouldn't say it's like a side effect, but it's like very far down the process. Basically, but frankly, this is the way I've always worked, even when I was doing the coding. I spent a
I
lot of time
know.
thinking about it and talking about it, and everyone says I overthink it, but you know what? Maybe other people are
That's the
underthinking it.
reason why I
That's a
bring this
different
thing
question.
on the table because oh no, I'm becoming Alexis in my way of doing it. I was
Well,
always
you
like
know,
more like, let's me do
I
this, let me make this plot, and instead now I
you
just
know,
like
you have my you know, you have I don't know if I should give you congratulations or condolences, but you know, you can take that as you will. All right, I gotta go,
okay,
man.
yeah, we
This is
got
good.
like 17 minute 38. Okay, we're
All
gonna
right.
do better.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you. See you. Bye. Bye bye.